Okay, welcome everyone to this, the 11th and final Housing Repairs online show and share for this phase at Lincoln Council. Before I share with you what we're going to cover today, just a gentle reminder why we do these show and shares. Next slide, please. Next slide, please, Fraser.
Is that not updated?
No.
I'll reshare my screen.
Okay. Thank you. So these show and shares provide an opportunity for the team to celebrate what we've achieved, demo Whitney working software, and share information on progress made during the last sprint. But most importantly, it's an opportunity for you, our collaborators and supporters, to provide us with any feedback and ask any questions that you may have. Next slide. So what we're going to cover today, in a moment, I'll remind you who is in the core team and share our vision before handing over to Fraser Trickett, our product owner, who will take you on an end-to-end journey of our MVP, highlighting some of the design changes that we've implemented since the alpha phase. Fraser will then tell you about the findings from a recent tech spike, where we looked at how we can extract repairs data from the service and reporting it. I'll then give a quick summary of progress made in the current sprint and our focus for the next, before handing back to Fraser, who will tell you how you can continue to engage with the project, not only in this phase, but in the next phase with Newark and Sherwood Council. And then we'll have an opportunity for you at the end to give us your feedback and ask any questions that you may have. So who is in the core team? Well, we have Fraser Trickett, from our product owner from Lincoln Council, myself, Paul Clemson, delivery manager from Maytech, Leon Aki, who's our engagement manager from DLUC Local Digital, who are funding this project, Pravesh Patel, lead engineer at Maytech, Wendy Banks, our business analyst from Lincoln Council, Joido Mataju from Southwark Council, El Villamarte, our senior engineer from Maytech, Jim Bowen, who's representing the Thistle IT group, and finally Mesa Canoni, our engineer from Maytech. So what is our vision? Well, it's to design and build a reusable and accessible online repairs reporting tool that requires no login, and most importantly, residents prefer to use as it meets their needs. A tool that is integratable with various scheduling systems through open, scalable and accessible APIs, enabling the tool we hope to be adopted by local authorities across the UK. I'm now going to hand over to Fraser.
Cheers, Paul. Has that come through for everybody okay?
It has.
Perfect. So just wanted to run you through where we've got to with this now and do a bit of a recap on our journey so far through this project. Hopefully you'll be able to see a nice change since last time everybody had seen this, in that it's now skinned up for Lincoln. So just a special shout out to Elle for your time and efforts on this one. I think it's looking great. It especially looks really good on mobile as well. So we're really hopeful that customers will like using this product. Just going to start off by saying that all of this text and the copy that's been through here has been tested with customers and been developed alongside them. But one of the things that's really changed from alpha to where we are now is the consistency of language. And hopefully you'll see that as we go through. So this first page on here, we've got these call outs for journeys that we can't complete at the moment. So one of the real things we want to build into this is that if somebody can't go through this as a journey, we want to let them know as soon as possible, rather than letting get to the end and find out that we can't actually meet their request in this instance. So really that's something we've focused on from alpha to here as well. What we do hope is that these things, assuming that we're successful the next round of funding, this page will get shorter because we're going to build these things in as part of the journey, aside from the gas emergencies. So I'm going to start the journey now, and what we're first presented with is what I've just been talking about, in that we're highlighting here things that we don't want customers to go through as part of this as a journey. And if they do select one of these, we provide the relevant information of what they need to do in order to handle that type of call. But we're pretending it's something nice and simple for us and going for that it's not one of those issues. And it's also not in a communal area. Again, communal area is something that we hope to build out in the next phase if we're successful. So watch this space. And then we move on to our live integration. So this is talking back to, in Lincoln's case, Universal Civica Housing, and only pulls back properties that are eligible for the repairs that we're working on. If I can, there's a good demonstration there. Obviously, that one is a Lincoln postcode, but not one with council properties on. Of course, I meant to do that. Now putting in a council property postcode, it brings back the addresses on that street for me, and then takes us through the tiered structure in terms of identify and repair. And this is an element that really has developed and progressed with the user testing from Alpha. So this is really nice and streamlined now. We've got consistency of this language. We used to have it swap between issue, problem, repair. We're now consistent with the language across these. We've tried to add some more description to this next stage on here so that customers know what to expect on the next page. Always picking the missing door. Say we refer to it as problem throughout on here. And then we've got this ability for customers to put in a good description, unlike the one I'm about to. And we've got the file upload ability as well. This is one of the areas that had changed for us as part of the development, in that originally we used to have some text in here around the types of file that we wanted to upload or wanted customers to be able to upload, but they found that confusing. So we only show the guidance if they don't upload a relevant file type now. We've got our ability to add in a contact number for if somebody wants to add a neighbour's phone number in or something else in there, so that if we're struggling to get in touch on the day, we've got that contact point. And then the one I'm particularly pleased about is that we've done our integration to GovNotify, taking that ethos of using reusable components where we can, and it just made sense for us to do this. That's a landline, but yeah, that is going to send that number a text message in a bit now, so customer services are going to get an unusual message there. And at that point, it's done the really important thing, and this was our real key objective from the start of this project, and that is that it's talking live back to our scheduling system, in our case Corona DRS, and it's pulled back the appointments. This is our test system, so there's lots of nice availability for people to pick from, and they can pick from those morning or afternoon slots, and also request more days from the system too. But remembering back to at the start of this journey and about actually we were developing this around the user needs, that was why it was so important for us to complete from the customer's perspective their interaction with the council. As part of logging this repair, they're left fully understanding what date and time that an operative is going to be with them to fix their repair, and then they have the opportunity to review those details before they submit. They can go back and change if needed. In my case, I'm going to click continue on here, and that will trigger off the APIs behind the scenes. So that is going to actually create the repair in DRS for us, and we'll also call the GovNotify elements so that it sends the receipt too. I knew that was going to happen then. We have been having some issues with our DRS system over the past couple of days, but hopefully we'll get that sorted soon. Just wanted to really hit home as well that at the start of this process, you'll notice that customers weren't actually prompted to log in. So this service is available to anybody. So if a neighbour, carer, relative wants to log a repair on behalf of somebody, and also offers that opportunity for members of staff to be able to complete on behalf of customers, estate officers, wardens, caretakers, etc. If they see a repair, they'll be able to use this tool. And we have used this product with people with low digital literacy and some users with accessibility needs. So it's really nice that we've tried to cover off those aspects to try and make this tool as reusable as possible. Hopefully that's brought everybody up to speed in terms of where we are with the journey so far and what we've worked on, and hopefully can see and understand that progress of from the conceptual idea to actually we've got a product now that is integrating. We're reusing real live components, integrating with backend systems, and we've started those foundations of an API layer that we can build upon. So as other authorities come on board with different suppliers, different back-end systems, we can look to build that integration in to make this, as our earlier slide said, as reusable and as scalable as possible. So yeah, just moving on to, well, it's really nice that we've got all that information through, customers left with that information, but what we really need to be able to do is prove the effectiveness and use of this. Working with DLUC, we've already agreed our measures that we'll be looking at, and this was one of the technical spikes that we were investigating. So DLUC call it this their theory of change, and we'd agreed our measures. Not all of these can be represented through this aspect. Some of these are about the call stats. But what we can do is, as agreed, show the number of repairs that are coming through this and also the time of day, so that we can understand that customers are actually choosing to access this outside of normal office hours. So in order to get to this, we spent some time investigating the best way to pull our data through. So using Power BI, our tech spike investigation, we've managed to get a live database connection to the information that the repair online services log in. So there's the image of the dashboard, but it's in its infancy at the moment, but that is just live. So when somebody logs a call, that will automatically refresh itself. And of course, we can share this dashboard to other authorities that come on board as well. It can be used just with the free Power BI elements too. Something that in developing this, I've added into it is the ability to draw in some of the extra fields. There are more available to us, but in the example on the right-hand side, we've got the ability to drill through this data using the capabilities of Power BI and the information we're collecting to perhaps look at information in ways that we haven't done before. So on this image that's on the right-hand side, I've clicked on kitchen. So it has re-rendered the graphs on the left-hand side to show me what proportion of repairs are based around the kitchen too, and at what time of the day these are coming through. And it could be that we choose to add in some of the SOR information on top of this as a layer. So it just takes us those stages further and just hopefully demonstrates some of the abilities that we have out of this, because now people are logging it as a web service. But also demonstrates that the way that we've designed this back-end system helps with that integration as reporting methods.
Thank
Back to
you.
you, Paul.
Thank you. So a quick summary of progress made. We've completed now the setup of our system and monitoring and alerting, and this includes all the health checks in readiness for the service going live. You just heard about the findings from the recent tech spike, so now we understand how we can extract repairs data report. We performed end-to-end user testing. This is with residents and the customer service agents, gathering their feedback and recording any bugs that they've identified. We've commenced discussions with Newark and Sherwood Council on how we can improve ease of replication within their environment, and we're preparing for the service go live in March. And as part of that, we upgraded the test DRS system and performed testing on that and applied the Lincoln skin to the MVP. And then finally, any bugs that got identified during the end-to-end testing are being fixed. So our focus for the next is to continue those discussions with Newark and Sherwood Council, taking our MVP and hopefully integrating that within their test environment, and also complete the adoption documentation. We'll continue to prepare for the service to go live, and that will include upgrading the production DRS system. And of course, we'll fix any remaining bugs identified during the end-to-end testing before going live. Okay, please.
Yeah, back to me from the usual shout out for please follow us and join us. Just because this is our last show and share at this point doesn't mean that the blog is going to stop at this point. We'll be posting updates in terms of as we learn more about the funding, and also more importantly about how Lincoln's Go Live actually happens. So it's really going to be worth checking back in on here to understand what our kind of story and lessons learned are from this. Something that we'll be doing is monitoring carefully about the channels of promotion that are most effective in this as we go for launch. So yeah, hopefully the blog won't become stale in any way, shape or form post go live. So please check back to there. Please reach out to us if you have any considerations in joining us as a project or want to take what we have done so far remembering this is a free open source, it's available on GitHub, we can take this, develop it, and it's also just worth that reminder that this is local authorities' product. It's not owned by a third party. It's for us to take this in the directions that we want it to. So if there's any input that we can get back on this and help drive that direction, it'd be greatly appreciated of everyone.
Okay, so now an opportunity for you to give feedback on what you've seen today and ask any questions. Joanne?
Hello. I was trying to put my camera on, but it doesn't. Looks like I'm just an orange square, so I'll turn that off. Just the little demonstration that Fraser did. Obviously, you had a problem connecting with the DRS during the demo, and it came up with a message for the customer saying, "Please ring the customer service number." Can we have that changed to suggest that they try it another time? I'm just thinking if people are accessing this service 24/7, it's highly likely that during the times that they're trying to report a repair that the customer service line may not be open. And I can't think of anything more frustrating than going through the process and then being told to call a number, and when you get through to that number it says we're closed. So either to show our opening hours or preferably to say that there's a problem with the connection at the moment, can you try later? Something like along those lines might be preferable.
Okay, and we'll discuss that recommendation and see how we can implement that if there's an agreement to do so.
Thanks, Paul.
Thanks for that question. I think we've got other hands up. Neil?
Hi, first up, looked really good. Not seen it for a few weeks and it looked really good. Noticed there was no other option available, which I guess is deliberate. Have you done any analysis to see what proportion of our real live calls will fit into the options that you've been given? Are we anticipating this will cover 90%, 80%, 50% of real live calls that would fit into those brackets?
I can answer that one to a point on there, Neil. So the journeys that are displayed on here are our top call types. So there's, I think it was 62, 64 different SORs that this is actually dealing with. I can't give an exact percentage because it's a percentage of a percentage in that we've got emergency repairs and call outs, etc. laid within that. But it should be around that 60–70% of our top calls that this will be able to handle with. Obviously, what we don't know yet is the number of customers that will choose to use this channel, which is why it's going to be really important for us to monitor the effectiveness of our promotion channels. But
so if the call you're logging doesn't fit into one of those journeys, did you call it? Mm-hmm. What's the option for the user? Is it to do a nearest fit, or is it say this isn't for me?
Well, for how Lincoln operates and our scheduled repair areas, those SOR codes are built within this. So if it's something outside of that, then there's that expectation that they will have to call us in this first instance. I think it's worth just hitting home as well at this point that this is an MVP. It's not trying to solve all of our problems. It's trying to tackle those main issues for customers. So it shouldn't be expected that this is going to be solving all repair types for everybody at this point in time. And we're really proving that principle of things. But again, coming back to that point, it's within our gift to control the direction of this. If we find that there's a shortcoming in terms of SORs missing, we can build those in. But it does, I say, cater for that 60–70% of, even including the emergency calls types that we know to be common through this channel. Okay. Paul, I think you were next.
Cheers, thank you, Fraser. The question I had was, you talked about starting to engage with other councils now. I was just wondering if you have any sort of framework in place for that, any sort of like set of questions that you're going to be asking, or if it's just sort of initial conversations and exploratory questions.
We haven't got to the point of a like formal sign-up process yet in this, Paul, so it will be those initial conversations. There's some, I guess, easy questions as part of that in terms of around the technical stack that people have got. If it isn't the same with what we've developed into at the moment, then that's a more detailed question, I guess, and about how we get those conversations going with your third-party suppliers about how we start to understand their APIs and build this in. But that's a challenge we want. We don't want this just to work with a replication of Lincoln's technical stack across the country. It needs to expand beyond that. So it'd be really interesting to engage with authorities that perhaps are a bit different at this moment in time.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Cool. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks,
And Scott.
Just in response to Neil, one of the things we have now with our current not as clever online repair system is what you said about repairs going through the system that don't necessarily fit. The good thing about this is that it goes to a customer, it'll come through in an email to a customer services advisor to raise the repair for universal housing. So if we discover that at that stage, it'll be basically the same process that we already kind of follow, in that we will, if the repair doesn't fit what they've booked, we'll contact them and arrange it that way. So it's not, so it'll be fine. With that customer service element in it, we can make the adjustments that we see fit. But as Fraser said, he did a lot of work on looking at the top SOR codes that customer services staff currently use. So it should cover the large majority of, your kitchen cupboard units, your toilet repairs, your bath, whatever, tap repair, whatever, that sort of thing. It covers all of the main bases. So yeah, as I said, if something comes outside of that, all of the online repairs will come to a CSA to check over anyway. So if we find a fault at that point, we can adjust it as necessary.
Thank you, Scott. Is there any further questions or feedback from anyone?
I think Chris has just raised his hand.
Yeah, hello everyone. My name is Chris Fairs. I'm from Hertfordshire County Council in the Highways team. So I look after our Highways fault reporting service. And I was just interested to see how you've all been progressing with this as a local digital funded project, and kind of housing repairs. How similar is that to Highways fault reporting? There's some similarities. It's kind of interesting to see what you've done. I suppose just some feedback that might be helpful to you is that I've been looking after that product as a mature product for a number of years, and we have iterated and put into place a number of new kind of fault types, and I think probably use the same terminology that kind of came in from doing an analysis of gaps. So I'll give you an example like speed bumps that wasn't in kind of the initial version. So things we kind of iterate from data as a product matures. We're capturing the kind of channel shifts, so what percentage of incoming are through the phone lines or through the online reporting. Hertfordshire is getting up to about 85% online, which is very, very high in terms of kind of the highways world. If you talk to our peer councils, which kind of the big counties in the south of England for me, I'm not sure how your residents will interact, but there is a market there. I've developed a number of other products online for some other highways interactions, and last year that's getting up to 100% with things like blue badges that aren't directly something I do. That's kind of high 80s as well %. So that's kind of quite a good benchmark, I suppose, for the audience for this. People do expect online services, so hopefully your users will see this and will use it up, and you just need to measure it effectively, which I'm sure you will. I think kind of there's a question I've got about how you're managing the expectations of users. There's quite a good piece of user research by Fix My Streets, and it was about user research in highways fault reporting, but it might be a bit similar because it talks about what people do and what they expect when they report something. How do you define that? Have you thought about kind of presenting this to the user? We would use something similar, but it's a bit of a one size fits all. This may, if it's an emergency, then we'll do this within 2 hours, 24 hours. If it's a lesser fault, then we'll look at it within 20 days. A little bit less clear. Have you thought about doing that? Would that work for your users? And I haven't picked up any other questions if you want about highways, but that's a big rabbit hole, and maybe that's another conversation. So I don't want to take over. That's my question.
you want to take that one, Fraser, in terms of how we're communicating this out?
Yep, so in terms of emergency repairs, the information for that and the expectation of response is already on our online presence at the moment in other context on there. For these types of repairs, again, we've already published out what our kind of SLAs are on there. Customers know those expectations of it. And I guess it's further reinforced by the appointment slots are only shown valid the appointment shots alone are only valid appointments for that type of repair. So if it is a 3-day emergency, a 3-day priority repair, they'll get availability back within that timescale to pick from. And if it's one of the longer type repairs, then they'll be shown those dates in there. So as part of their journey, they're at least left knowing when that tradesperson is coming to fix them, and they're in control of that date that they pick to an extent. So yeah, it's a bit of a combo response really, in that yes, there's literature already out there, things like the tenancy sign-up pack, etc., detail some of those expectations of repair response times. And then further to that, we've tried to make it as clear as possible throughout this journey that this is when somebody will be attending and they're in control of that appointment time.
Excellent, thank you.
Thanks very much for that question. Okay, do we have any further feedback or questions from the audience? Doesn't appear that we have any more questions. So on that basis, then we'll end this show and share. And thank you all for attending. And like Fraser says, you can continue to monitor all the progress that we're making on the blog, Repairs Online. And hopefully we'll see you all soon.
Cheers,
Bye.
everyone. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.